Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies, and I thought I would give you a quick update on where my Empire collection for Warhammer the Old World currently stands. Give you a quick overview of some of the old army bits that I did, the old units that I did, where I enjoyed Empire in the old Warhammer Fantasy battle, and what I'm planning to do with the new Arcane Journal moving forward for Warhammer the Old World. If you guys have been watching my Dogs of War series, you'll have a fair idea of what I'm about to talk about, but you probably haven't seen all my other older Empire stuff that I'm going to be showing in this video. So whether you've seen my stuff before or not, and you like Empire, I think this is the video for you. So stick around guys and enjoy this video. Before I go into the video, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of my active patrons and everyone that supports me over here on Mediocre Hobbies throughout 2024. You guys have been absolutely amazing. Thank you as always for that support. It really does keep the lights on and the cameras rolling. If you're interested in getting involved with that yourself, getting involved in some of the events and stuff that we run over on the Discord, for instance, for the 2025 period, then please do check out my links down below to my Patreon and see if there's a tier that suits you and you can help us grow to bigger and better heights. Okay, without further ado, let's dive in and have a look at some Empire. Okay, so this is my Empire collection as it currently stands. I think that's pretty much all I have so far. It's kind of from a couple of different eras, so I'll quickly explain what I've got so far. What I intend to kind of leave to the side, almost abandon, and what I intend to do pushing forward with the new Arcane Journal for Warhammer the Old World. So you will notice straight off the bat that the majority of my color scheme is the yellow and green of Stirland. That is my primary province. That is what my army is based around, and what I have painted, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000 points worth of so far. But that's not what I'm going to continue on with the new Arcane Journal. So quickly, if you haven't seen any Empire stuff before, this is the Empire of Man. The Empire has been a staple of Warhammer Fantasy for many, many years. It's one of the key, if not most important factions that the kind of game is based around. If it was Warhammer 40,000, this would represent kind of the Imperium. So the good guys that are beset on all sides by, well, crazy beastmen and chaos from the north and vampires from the south and all sorts. So orcs from the west, they're everywhere. They're surrounded, and they're the ones that have to fight back all of the bad things and keep the populace of humanity safe and sound. So when I originally started this project, I started it with a traditional Empire army in mind. So I started by doing big parent blocks of units, which is, for instance, this big block of 30 Empire swordsmen. So they have swords and shield, big block, nice banner, and then they have the detachment system, which allows two smaller units. This detachment of 10 halberdiers here, and this unit of 10 Empire handgunners, which is actually the Hochland long rifle miniatures, which is special forge roll ones, but that doesn't really matter, to fight alongside them. So to give you an example of how this works, this unit would stand in the middle of the battlefield. These two units would flank them. If someone went to charge this unit, their block would move in. They would have to stop, receive a volley of handgun fire from these guys, and then get countercharged in the flank by these guys. So as a military organization, military unit, it's a very cool way of doing it, and it's something that drew me in when I wanted to start this force. Now, as you can see, my army has become quite varied. Like I said, I have the traditional units, another big block of Empire swordsmen over there, supported by some crossbowmen, extra unit of halberdiers, some extra Empire archers, my big block of Empire great swords, which are the beautiful plastic ones, and they all have a blue feather in their hair. There's a story about a cockatrice they used to have in this army, but unfortunately it got quite damaged, and I don't really know where it is right now. And then from there, we of course move on to some of the more kind of specialist units, things like the steam tank. Now, steam tanks, my steam tank, for instance, is all rusty. And why is my steam tank all rusty? Well, Stirland is considered to be the poorest province in the Empire. They are lacking in funds. So while they may have been gifted a steam tank by the Imperial College of Engineers, they are struggling to maintain and upkeep it. It is still a devastating weapon on the battlefield. Yeah, they're doing their best, but they're not very good at maintaining stuff like this. I do have a lot of artillery for the army. There's cannons and mortars and hellblaster volley guns and rocket batteries. I do have all the crew for them, of course. A lot of them aren't painted, unfortunately, just yet. And I do have some fairly extra special things, which is one of my most prized possessions, which is my Empire Landship. If you guys don't know what this is an extremely rare Forge World piece I'm holding with one hand that I'm definitely going to drop. So let me just try and pick it up in a better way. So this is the Empire Landship. I did a whole video series on building and painting this and finishing it off as a nice little project. So if you want to check that out, I will leave a link down below as well. But it's one of those things where, you know, when you get asked that question, if your hobby room went on fire and you could grab one model, this would probably be what I would grab, because it's very hard to replace and I wouldn't really want to go through the process of building and painting one again. So I'm very happy to own one. But and it sits pride of place as the centerpiece of the army. It definitely stands out when you look down a table. Nothing really stands out as much as that. Now, I've been very gracious to get a few extra bits and pieces for this. So for instance, I have an entire detachment of Kislevite horses. There is so many of them, and they are pre-painted by, I'm not going to say names in case they don't want to tell me, but I did actually do a trade. I bought this guy a bunch of Dark Eldar stuff, and then he gave me his Kislevite army, which included, I don't know how many is there, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 8, 20 horses, a big block of 20 of the infantry. I did manage to get the Ice Queen, and I've got the Borza as well, but I don't have any horses for them just yet. So I have a small Kislevite detachment as well, which at some point I'm kind of hemming and hawing as to whether or not they should be stripped and repainted. This army was featured, or this particular force was featured in a White Dwarf article. It's got a little bit of lineage and history to it. So it's kind of sad for me to think about getting rid of it or stripping it. I have some unpainted so far that I'm currently working up for my new army, which I will talk about in a minute. But this would be the new scheme if I did strip them. And I think this looks really good, so perhaps, yeah, it might just happen. I still have extra things as well. He's just gonna fall over because they're notoriously not balanced. So this is a full unit of 21 additional Empire Greatswords. These are the original metal ones. And as you can see, all they ever got was a coat of black spray. And then this was from my first Empire army, which did get ditched and abandoned and given to a friend. And then he kind of moved forward. He updated his Empire army, got some new plastic Greatswords. And then these old metal ones somehow made their way back to me. So I am very tempted to now give them a really nice lease of life, a new paint job, get them looking fresh. Like, I think they deserve to look well, and you know, if they've made their way back to me, you know, more power to them. I've of course got things like the War Altars. I've actually got a pair of War Altars. I do have the Luminarch of Hysh and the other one, but they're currently been removed from Warhammer the Old World. They don't exist anymore. They've been pushed over to Age of Sigmar and been given to the free cities over there, which is fine. I always thought they were a little bit wazzy for my taste for Empire. And I think they kind of belong much better over in the Age of Sigmar side of things. I do have about 1 million heroes. I mean, literally about 1 million heroes, including some of the rare Forge World ones, which are still lacking a coat of paint. So there's Theodore Bruckner, the guy that went off to fight Termacan, which is the big Nurgle Plague Dragon. I actually have that model as well. You do get him foot and mounted. It's a pretty incredible piece. I always did wonder though, like, this is the size of a man. This is the size of Theodore Bruckner. I never really understood why they did that, but he's basically bigger than a Space Marine would be, so I don't know. Yeah. But mounted across the first Demigryph miniature that we ever got. And because of Forge World, it's anatomically correct. So I really do need to get a finished coat of, sorry, it's not going to focus on it now. A finished coat of paint on this guy, get it looking fresh and clean, and have it deployed. And then of course we've got Leopold the Black as well. Who's from the Border Princes, which he makes a lot of sense in Warhammer the Old World now. Seems how the Border Princes play a much more kind of pivotal role in the current story. So he needs a paint job for sure, and added into my Empire / Bretonnian force. I do have stuff like this, a sad unit of Pistoliers. Why is it a sad unit? Well, back when I worked in Games Workshop, these guys lived in a cabinet for a while, and unfortunately a shelf fell down on top of this army, and lots of things got broken, and you can see the sad state of that unit. Missing all of his pistol tips, missing his arm, missing his pistol tips, the feather in his hair. They're wrecked, and it's really sad. So I do need to repair those as best I can. 2 unit of Outriders, which still need to be painted. Unit of 20 Crossbowmen, still need to be painted. 5 Demigryph Knights. They are unfortunately fallen ill to the bad glue that Games Workshop put out many years ago. If anyone remembers that horror story where certain things were constructed with glue, and then over a very short period of time that glue crystallized, and then the models became super fragile and used to just kind of crumble apart. You know what I mean? There's the literally falling to component parts. in my hand. So they need to be pulled apart completely, all the kind of sprue connection points cleaned up, and then sprayed and painted again. So it's a whole process, and I will get around to it at some point, but it is very, very sad. Yeah, of course, I've got a couple more characters across the front like I was talking about. Those are the Forge World ones out of the way. I have my, of course, Schwarzhelm, my Emperor's Champion. He's very cool. A couple of cool things like the Imperial Mascot model. Still need to get a finished coat of paint on him. Some of the old Empire kind of captain models. The Duelists. Looking slick, not focusing on them, of course. Why would it focus on them? There's the Imperial Duelist set. There's, of course, the man himself from the unit of armoured handgunners. He's the boss of that unit. Got a couple of old wizards. Fire and Shadow. It's actually supposed to be the way around. There's supposed to be a fire wizard, but I went a little bit crazy and gave him purple flames back in the day. I use him quite a lot as my death wizard. Of course, have the Vulcan model, which of course I painted in Match Sterling as well. Very cool old piece. Some other bits and pieces that still need painting. Did this guy for a video a couple of weeks ago. A bunch of old fine cast stuff which definitely still needs. So the Witch Hunter model, very cool. I think his name is Marcus something. He was like a great hunter, like the hunter of the Empire or something. He had a really cool story. He has a magic bow and he's very good at taking down monsters. But unfortunately he's a fine cast model, so I'm not really pushed to paint him all that. Yeah. Same with my Dark Omen and Truthsayer from the Albion campaign. I love these models so much, but I wish I had the metal ones. These are the fine cast ones. And they're just not going to be fun to paint, I can tell. Going across to my Sartosan Vampire Captain Man. I use him as an Empire Captain for a very long time. He led my unit of greatswords, some sort of kind of mercenary captain that got hired by the Empire because he was such a good swordsman, or going on some sort of expedition. He's not glued to this base. I don't know why I never glued him, but he's ready to be rebased if so. But I do like the fallen treasure chest and the skeletons buried and stuff. That always made that kind of, I really like how that turned out. Big happy with that. Now, I've basically shown you what I have for my Empire of the past. This is my old Empire army. Like I said, I think I've come along quite a way in my level of painting since I painted this army. I'm not really happy with the result. I mean, I'll give you an example. Here is the banner for my Empire Greatswords. That is as much as I could manage back in the day. Didn't even paint the back of the banner, for God's sake. The model himself won't even focus. Will you focus? There you go. So this was my level back then, and this is my level for my new Empire army. So I think I've come along just a wee bit. I've even painted the back, look. Oh, no detail left undone. So I'm going to be doing a new Empire army, and I'm basing it all around the Dogs of War. Now, I have done some videos on this project before, so if you guys have followed on the channel, you know what I'm doing. These are all these units in the back. So I'm basing a new Empire army for the old world, but I'll be substituting in units of Dogs of War to represent different units. So for instance, these are my Pistolier unit, like I showed you the ones that got damaged. These are my new Pistolier unit. So I'm going to be using the Birdmen as Dogs of War, Pistoliers. So they're going to fly around the flanks, firing off crossbows and having a bit of a fight if needed. Obviously got big units of crossbowmen. These are going to be my Empire Knights. That's where you saw that Kislevite horse before. Painted to match. So I'm going to bring it over somewhere with a bit more light. So yeah, there's going to be Empire Knights. Empire Captain. Like I said, I think this army is going to make me very happy, and it's something that I'm going to be super proud to bring to conventions and bring to tournaments and put on a table and play and have a lot of fun with, as opposed to doing a traditional Empire army, which, like I said, I have done to death. I really like my Stirland army. Like, there's a reason I painted my Empire Landship in the green and yellow and had it a part of that army, because I still love this army. I'm still going to play games with this army, but do I think I'm going to be painting a whole heap of more models for it, or trying to touch up these models more? I don't think so, to be honest. I think my plan is, like I said, to jump over, paint up my Dogs of War. Like I already have a mercenary giant painted up for the army and everything, which won't focus because why would it focus? There you go, there's my mercenary giant. It's very heavy because he's all metal. Painted up for that new Empire army. So I'm clearly in love with this project. I think when it is done, it is going to be like something that I'm super, super proud of. Maybe the nicest old world army that I've done to date. And I'm saying that over my Bretonnian army, which I'm very proud of currently. So who knows? But like I said, I am extremely excited for the return of Empire in Warhammer the Old World. Them getting the Arcane Journal, seeing what kind of awesome characters. There's still leaked characters that are going to be coming out soon. And I cannot wait to order and paint every single one of them. Whether they end up in green and yellow or whether they end up in orange and black is still to be decided for each and every one of the models they have shown so far. Maybe you guys can help me with that. So hope this gives you a little bit of understanding of what Empire is like. You do get an awful lot of bang for your buck, an awful lot of miniatures on the table. And as you can see, I'm a bit of a fan. So yeah, hopefully you guys like this little dive into what it makes up my current Empire army and are excited to see where I take it in the future. Okay guys, you have now seen my old and my new Empire collection and what I'm planning to do with the Empire with the new Arcane Journal moving forward. Hopefully you have learned a little bit about this awesome army and are considering collecting it yourself. If you want to pick up some of the miniatures, don't forget your local independents. They're all the awesome places you can pick up your models from. If you're in England, for instance, I do actually have an Element Game link down below. You can check that out yourself. You usually get around 10 to 15% off Games Workshop's recommended retail price. And if you use the link down below, I get a little kickback as well at no extra cost to you. I don't know what else to say other than thank you guys so much for an awesome 2024 and I will see you 2025.